Good. This is episode.
Wait, you gotta say the podcast name, Molly.
Yeah. Don't do episode and then say
no, it's no, nigga, no. I'll right.
Welcome to APT483
episode 6.
I think it's 6.
It's 6, bro. It's 6.
I think it's 6.
We script.
Are we sure it's not 7?
6. Last one,
7, bro.
No, the one
we're on 7.
The one I just recorded was episode 5.
6.
No, I put episode 6 in the drive, but it was actually episode 5. I think.
This is 5.
This is not 5.
This will be 5.
Nigga, no, the one we just recorded that's still in the drive.
Yeah.
That's 6.
Well, I thought we were breaking that up into like shorts, bro.
That's not even an episode.
I don't think so.
How many episodes are you gonna scrap,
I thought we were doing
man?
a 20-minute episode on that.
Well, that basically just turned into the 2 conversations. It basically turned into 2 videos.
Oh, so that's a video, not a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So podcast number
5.
Yeah, we'll call it 5.
This can't be
We'll
5.
call this podcast number 5.
All right.
Is this
like we've done this way more.
Yeah, I thought we've done this like we done this like at least 10 times.
We definitely
bro.
had a couple takes, bro.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
You need some water, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. I promise.
Alright.
I promise.
So
So is that what we want to talk about?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Yeah.
Definitely
Okay.
have some takes.
Well, I guess I've been thinking a lot about like just a lot of different things, and that was something that kind of crossed my mind because I'm a big music listener. I'm sure you guys are too, except for maybe Manny.
What was the topic again? What are we
You
talking
probably
about?
music.
Oh, just music in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, in general, I thought we were doing like specifically dance culture.
Well, yeah, no, I'm gonna.
Let him intro the topic. He's on his
Instead of going into it, I don't know.
God damn. So I was saying like that's something I'm a big music listener, and I was saying like I think you guys all are too, except for maybe you, Manny. Like.
I mean, maybe a little less. I still listen to music.
Okay. Well, I think like one of the popular, I guess, genres of music right now is like rap,
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of songs that are trending just have a bad narrative, and I think they kind of promote like a kind of toxic view on like relationships, people, just a kind of bad thought process.
Yeah.
The big 3 I always hear is like drugs, sex, money.
Yeah.
But
Pretty much.
I generally think that's been throughout all of music, hasn't it? Like, you can go back as far as like into like this, to like the 60s and stuff. They were talking about sex and music. Drugs, I feel like, is the more recent one, but like, I feel like that's what they're doing. I think that's always been a thing about talking about
But it hasn't been
sex.
so prevalent, like in like up in your face, like all the time.
I don't know, bro. I've seen some clips of like them straight up talking about how they want to get fucked and shit. So it's like, I feel like it's been a constant thing throughout history.
I don't know. I feel like before then it was more like rebellious. Like you think of like early hip hop.
Right.
It was kind of more to like rebel and kind of fight against the system, And I think that kind of makes sense in the time that they were in, But I feel like now a lot of those things it's not really the same. It is in some places, but like, generally I feel like a lot of those things don't really carry over. It's not as prevalent as it used to be. So I just think it's kind of
Unnecessary.
I don't know about unnecessary because there's definitely a place for it, but I think some of it, like specifically like I'm not even speaking so much in terms of like the rebellion and the racial stuff. It's more really just the vulgar, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like the real nasties, like I think of like Sexy Red, like fucking shaking my booty cheeks till my ass cheeks fucking pink, like like my coochie brown and fucking like.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's like crazy over the top, bro.
Yeah, but like I still do think that was just prevalent even then. Because we just watched Sinners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing, like even the song on there was kind of like, well, actually that was more about like his freedom and like.
Yeah, I feel like there was deeper.
Yeah, there's always meaning
I
in
think there was
this
like
music.
songs were way deeper.
Yeah. I think a big problem is that music is just like over sexualized now. That's my whole problem. I think boy and girl, both ways, it's too, I don't know. I guess it came from like the love R&B kind of era of music, and then it just transitioned to like straight up talking about like sexual acts. It's not like innuendos anymore. It's just straight like it's just sex in the music, bro.
But that's the thing about that R&B era, though. Like, even though they were talking about that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, they were way more like
It was like more
slick
nuanced.
with
It was
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
what was the?
It's like The Weeknd. Like,
Yeah.
you listen to The Weeknd songs and you don't hear it, but if you really
you
listen to the lyrics,
listen
it's
to
like,
it.
oh, damn, this
Yeah.
guy's fucking talking some crazy shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like now they don't even.
They don't
They
try
don't
to
even
hide it.
cover it up, you know?
Like,
Well, that's just because of the genre of it, right? The Weeknd. I feel like people listen more to The Weeknd than like rap and all. You know what I mean? You're talking about like streams from like The Weeknd. There's like a lot more streams. So I feel like rap compared to R&B is still big. I still think R&B is bigger than rap.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like it is.
I think right now I disagree because like the biggest artists in the world are rappers. Like Drake's a rapper, Kendrick's a rapper.
But like The Weeknd, you don't like we've seen the streams on Spotify compared to like
Yeah,
other
but that's
rappers.
just him. I don't think he represents the whole entirety of the genre. I think
What
he's
about,
really
like-
the peak of the genre. He's leading the R&B charts, you know, because who's above him in R&B?
I'd barely even put The Weeknd in R&B. I put him more pop than R&B,
Yeah.
honestly.
That's still, he's got
Yeah.
some.
He still got some
depends
R&B,
Depends
yeah.
on the song.
Yeah, it
for
depends on the song.
But
Okay.
Yeah, but
so why do you think? I don't know. Let's just get into it. Why is that a problem? Why is the bad? I guess what influence does it? Do you
I think
see?
it reflects on everybody, you know, the people, yeah, you know, the listeners. I think that you kind of take that stuff to heart, and even though you know, are not consciously doing it, I think maybe subconsciously.
So
in
you do
terms-
believe that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that music has a deeper impact on you than you realize. And I think what you listen to really defines how you think. And I think if you're putting bad shit in your ears, I think bad shit's gonna come out, you know, from you, whether it be your thought process or, you know what I'm saying, your actions. I think that music is definitely something that you need to be more conscious about, that you listen to, you know?
Well, there's also those music listeners that don't really listen for the lyrics, and then they just listen to for the beat or like for the instrumental in the background. Because half the time, people don't even really know what people are saying until they actually go into a deeper dive into it. That's what I feel like.
Okay.
I don't really.
So yeah, that was me for a while.
Yeah.
And
I'm still
I used
like
to
that.
love being like that until I started listening to some of the lyrics and some of the songs that I listened to. And because like I got my own like car mount, and like so what I do is I connect it to the CarPlay, and then I have the lyrics running while like the CarPlay is like still on like the cover of the song, and like I actually sing the song along, and I'm like, whoa, like this is actually like deeper than I thought it was. Like,
Yeah.
and like that kind of gave me a whole new understanding and like meaning to that actual song. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I like listening to some songs for the beat, but like when I listen to actual lyrics, it kind of like I don't know. I'm starting to feel like
And
Tyler
enhances
a
the
little bit,
experience
bro.
a little bit, yeah.
I'm starting to feel like Tyler.
So, I mean, it also goes the other way. That's ruined a couple of songs for me. Like reading the lyrics and reading what it actually means is like.
Do you have any examples? I'm curious.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know most of it's come from like, well, a couple of times it's just come from like spiritual stuff. So like, some song lyrics might be like,
What was it? Oh,
like there's
this is
lyrics
a
I'm singing out loud that is just like,
song,
yeah,
What was that? I might kill my ex.
yeah, stuff like,
I'd rather rot in hell.
yeah, but you don't pick up on that until you're like actually reading the lyrics. It
Yeah.
just so goes over your head. And then like some songs that I've been singing along that I know word for bar for bar. Like Chanel was a big one. That's not the main one that sparked this idea, but is the Frank Ocean song Chanel?
I don't.
The first lyric of the song.
What does that say?
My guy's pretty like a girl, and it's like you just sing that song because you don't really think about the meaning. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just like
Right. So like I feel like I don't know. I don't feel like the music. I just think it's more of like seeing like the physical depictions of like what's going on in the music. I feel like music videos was like a big thing as to what like really formed like those type of people. Cause like what? I don't know. Who was like the first one to start like making music like about jail? I think it was
About jail?
like yeah, about jail, like in rap, and they like had a whole music video for it. I don't know, I can't remember, but it was a 2000s rapper. Because I also kind of like I think I watched something that has to do with like when they start first depicting about like what is it romanticizing like jail life and gang life, and it was really due to that music video area because they were always talking about like jail like that and how like you gotta be hard and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like the music actually has that much of an influence unless they physically see it. I feel like the visual is stronger than the.
I don't know. I disagree too because I think that, you know, especially in more urban communities, you think of that kind of like gangster rap music, and they look up to those gangster rappers and they idolize them and they sing the songs. And like I said, I think the more you hear it and you listen to it, I think it really does kind of affect your brain,
shape
like
your way of
how you
thinking
think.
as well.
Yeah.
Especially even not just that, like going back to the hypersexualized music, bro. It's like as a guy hearing that all these rappers are just like having sex with multiple women in the song, that kind of like creates the what's the word, like
the expectation.
Yeah, like the expectation, and even vice versa for women, it could create unrealistic standards of like this music I listen to is like my guys have 6 figures, he has to be they're rich, this, that, and that, and it creates unrealistic standards in people who listen to that music that like the guy they have to go for also has to be like the guy that JT's going for. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's more specifically what I was thinking. It's not really in terms of like the kind of like more so like the jail kind of stuff that you were talking about. Because I think there's a place for that, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that some of that stuff can be very inspirational, but it's more so definitely on like relationships and like stuff like that and like just how we view each other, I think. I just think it's gotten kind of bad. Not too great.
You also kind of like think about dance culture as well with it, and you know, like I don't know, are women like shaking ass to R&B?
I don't think you can, bro.
Yeah, but they're like slow grinding though. Like if they're listening to and they're like they're doing that. If they're playing down, like they're doing that, and like twerking and all that. It's been part of at least African culture for a long time. Even in Caribbean culture, like the whining and carnival and all that. So that's nothing new for real. I don't know why all of a sudden it's like kind of being demonized. It's something that's always been done in our culture, at least black culture. Something that's
being demonized.
Well, people are like criticizing women for doing that on like for like
what,
twerking
on
twerking on camera just for like views and all that.
But can you make the argument that that's not part of the culture then at that point? Because like when the African culture, and that's part of the tradition, that's part of the dance. Like Caribbean culture, that's in the realm of the culture. So when you go to carnival, you might get like a wine or you might get a dance with a girl, and then you guys go your separate ways, and that's just part of the culture that's established. Whereas, can you make the argument that twerking is like a little different from that, where it's like or maybe it's the same thing, it's in the same bubble? I
feel like it's in the same bubble. I don't think it's any different. I feel like it's just adapted to like what type of music. It's like the beat. It's going with the beat. It's going with how. So it's just basically going as fast as the music is going. When you hear like reggaeton, like when the beat go fast, they twerk faster. So it's like I don't feel like it's any different. So it's just another way. It's just how we like to like express ourselves. And I don't see anything wrong with it.
Mind like it's for the culture.
Probably not. I didn't really. Probably not. It's not for the culture, but it's just something that they would learn to do from their culture. So, in the end, it's still cultural.
Changed, like
I still feel like it's still cultural because, like the black experience, you know, and them making their own culture. So it's part of that. It's part of after like the diaspora. You know what I mean? It's part of Black Americans' culture. So I don't see a problem with it. I feel like it's not shaping them negatively.
Busting ass on every homie now in this culture, bro.
It's their culture. Like,
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But is it if it's our culture? Is it a culture that we should be embracing? Okay. Because
Probably not.
If that's
Probably not. But like, if it's something they want to do, it's something they want to do.
I think it's something they want to do. They just do it. But like,
They got it, bro. They got it.
I think that's the CIA winning, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I feel like.
Because the CIA,
I think
bro.
it's the CIA just
The government trying to.
running victory laps now in the hood, bro.
I've been seeing videos.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
CIA videos. Yeah,
The CIA.
and they're
They don't gotta
so
say-
accurate, bro.
Saying they don't gotta do anything anymore.
No, they just
They
they
was all doing it twice hours, bro.
Who sent that in the group chat?
Me, bro.
That was you?
That was you?
Yeah, the CIA video.
Was that you?
in the Instagram
I
group
thought
chat?
I thought I saw
No,
that
you probably
video.
seen it because you seen it
too,
too.
bro.
But I'm the one who sent it to the group. But you've definitely seen it by now, bro. That's everywhere, and I agree, bro.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, bro. I'm glad you know. I don't gotta put in work anymore.
Nope, bro.
I don't know, but I also see another like side of like dance culture and like music, like the whole tangin. What is it? Why can't I think of it right now? Top rocking.
Yeah, I was about to say top
rocking, sharp bouncing, and all that stuff. That's also their culture as well.
Sure.
And it's not seen as negatively. It looks like they're just truly expressing themselves, and that's just fire, bro.
Yeah, it is fire.
To the point where I do it in the mirror. Now I'm never gonna do it in front of anybody,
yeah.
but like.
Wait, what? Dance?
Now the music
Like top rock
associated,
and-
the music associated to those like dances,
That
is
is-
it as
No, it's not, because it's usually just
It's just beats.
different
It's
style.
instrumentals.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
just beats.
It's just instrumentals.
So I feel like that's why I'm saying like I feel like it's a totally separate like thing from
Yeah.
that. Like I get that is 100% culture, you know.
expression, yeah.
That I'm like I feel like that's fine. I think like the real problem is the unrealistic standards and the toxic kind of like I don't know like gender roles I guess, you know.
and like the pressure music can put you into, and that's why when we brought this topic up a couple of days ago, it made me think of the J. Cole song "Love Yours," because it creates these like music just creates all these unrealistic standards that like you have to be rich, you have to be, you know, having sex with 20 different women, you have to be on a yacht popping bottles to be successful, and I think that is one of the other effects you're talking about when you say like unrealistic dating standards and stuff. That's part of it too. Just it can really put you in like a funk if you're listening to music that makes you feel like you're not living up to the expectations of what you're supposed to be at.
Yeah, because that's definitely not the normal human
That is
experience.
quite literally,
you know.
no, it's abnormal. It's 1%, if that. Yeah.
I guess I just don't get that same effect because I think I'm just more of a visual guy. I feel like I'm like seeing that more. I feel like that's gonna sway me more than hearing it. I don't really get swayed by words. I like get swayed by actions for real. So like if I were to see that in a music video, compared to just listening,
It'd have
to
a bigger
it,
impact.
It would have a bigger impact.
But what if you actually like read the lyrics? Like
Even if I were to read it, I would
break it
still
down?
like. I
Okay.
still wouldn't like
Now what about the murder music, bro?
murder music. Look, I listen to that shit a lot. I haven't murdered not a single person, bro.
Yeah, but I think that's like, I listen to a little bit of murder music.
Yeah.
I like nobody's gonna.
Now-
I think nobody's gonna really.
Because I
murder.
feel like that has to also come in with the environment you're in too. So like, especially if you're like in presence of guns and if you're in presence of people who've actually killed other people, and the music on top of that, I do think it's an additive factor. Because then it's gonna like this is the norm of my area, you know what I mean? So I feel like the environment definitely plays more in than the music definitely adds to it for sure.
It's funny because environment. I just think of that one meme where it's like, you guys had to do the sing the national anthem in the mornings.
Yeah.
back in-
Yeah, the
I just think
Pledge
of
of
like having your
Allegiance.
AirPods in, bro, listening to like people shooting up people and getting murdered and shit. Pledge Allegiance is in the background, bro.
I
It's just
definitely
like-
did that. That's cool. I definitely did that. Wait, but I think I stopped. Actually, no, elementary school because we stopped saying the Pledge of Allegiance
Really?
in middle
I
school.
did. I think into high school. I was still doing it in high school. I'm pretty sure.
Nah, we stopped
Wait.
doing it into.
I stopped
think
like
we only
7th,
did it.
8th grade.
Pledging to the flag.
I think we only did
Yeah.
it like
I swear I didn't.
elementary, maybe middle school.
No, I only remember elementary and then middle school. We just completely.
I remember my
stopped.
sister like, she like started becoming more aware and she just stopped saying it.
Yeah,
Everyone was standing.
I
up
was
and
like
put
your
their-
sister, bro.
Put their hand to their heart and she just would sit.
When was that Colin Kaepernick stuff happening, bro? 'Cause that's when I didn't stand for. I literally sat in class. I was like, I'm not standing for this.
That's a long.
That was
that's
a long time
throwback,
ago.
bro.
That was a time in his. Yeah, that was a time, bro.
I don't even hear Kaepernick's name anymore.
Dude,
bro.
they
crazy.
fucking
They white dude.
suppressed
torched him, bro.
Yeah, bro.
And you know what the crazy part is about that whole thing, though?
What?
The crazy part is, I think he had spoken to a veteran about like what is the way to like best way to protest against this kind of anthem or whatever, spread this message without being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I believe it was the veteran who had told him
To take a knee?
kneel. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that backstory.
You know?
That's crazy. I did not know that.
It's crazy what America can do to suppress people, bro.
Bro, they fucking
If they want
torched
your
him at the
name
league.
gone, your name's gone, bro.
They do.
They torched him.
You still can't get a job. So he's still trying. I remember I saw a couple weeks ago. He's still trying to get
Yeah.
back in the league. It's
He's not even in the NFL no more.
no, they wiped it. He was a good
No,
quarterback too.
dude.
Solid, bro.
Yeah, he was pretty decent.
And
He was fast. He was fast as
Yeah.
fuck, dude.
That's
Yeah,
I
I used
remember
to-
him on the Niners, bro. He was fast as shit.
There was no reason he should have been unemployed at least, bro.
That is
Yeah,
a
he could have been a
nasty
backup
He could
somewhere or some
definitely.
shit, bro.
But that's how it goes, man.
That's some nasty work. Bro. Well, yeah. I don't know. Kind of going off that about like America suppressing people. I've been reading up on the African regime that's going on right now in Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Toure, he's the president of Burkina Faso, and he's trying to basically make a coalition to where like Africa can be like independent out of colonialism and imperialism, and basically trying to kick out all the foreign people because they're taking advantage instead of like working with them.
Yeah.
And he wants to make an Africa that's like
Independent.
independent.
The first world countries are taking advantage.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
France,
Yeah, okay, that makes
America,
sense.
and he's been making major moves. And America and definitely France do not like what's going
Because
on.
there's resources to be
Yeah.
gained,
Exactly.
and they gain it at a crazy profit
Right.
when they're exploiting these, developing countries.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course they're not gonna.
Yeah.
And the CIA.
Yeah, he's already had multiple assassination
Yeah.
attempts.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You
find
know
it
the
crazy.
U.S. is no stranger to getting involved in
Oh,
foreign
Yeah,
governments.
no, they're
It happens a lot.
especially in that country, because there was another president who was doing the same thing as him. Basically, Ibrahim Traoré is building off.
What was
of
that guy's name? Because I know who you're talking about.
Sakar. I keep forgetting his first name.
Yeah,
but it's Sakar. His last name is
I
Sakar.
swear I think I heard about this.
Yeah, and he's basically building off of what he's been doing because he was assassinated.
Yeah.
They like completed that. That was crazy. So he's trying to continue that and make a united Africa basically. And he's already like with the two other foreign powers who are actually trying to work with them instead of exploiting them. He's already with Russia and China.
Yeah.
So he's making major moves, and America is like spreading like misinformation about like what they want to do with the money, and like they're trying to say that they support like a terrorist group when in actuality that's not the case. They're just trying to
have
build
a
their
reason.
country.
That's what they need, a reason.
Exactly.
Like, I was looking at the resource map because after we you talked about that earlier, I started searching it up, bro, and I looked at the resource map. And Africa is like one of the most resource richest like
Exactly.
nations, like
It's not
continents in
even
the world.
close.
Yeah, it's not.
not
It's
even
actually
close.
insane. Like Nigeria alone, bro,
What,
is
in
like
terms
super
of, like,
rich in
metals and
petroleum.
stuff?
Yeah.
Precious
I know
metals,
that.
petroleum. There's a war going on in the Congo over precious metals that go
Yeah.
into your iPhones, like, and stuff like that. Like because of capitalism, like Africa probably hasn't reached its full potential that it could reach.
And
Honestly,
it can't because
And it probably
I'm
won't.
like because reading up on this is just the way they'll go out their way. These big foreign governments, the way they'll go out their way just to stop.
But it's so
From the
much
building.
money on the table, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
of
I don't
course.
think you realize how much. Like it's
Trillions,
a lot
bro.
of profit. too.
Trillions, bro.
Because they can
Yeah.
pay you pennies on the dollar to get you fucking thousands. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the profit margins are insane. So it makes sense they're gonna fight for it.
It's still
It's
just
not ethical at
yeah,
all.
it's not ethical. at
I mean,
all.
but, like,
because they're not sharing it
Are
with
there
the
any
country.
countries that are ethical? Like
Probably
I feel
not.
like every country's got its stains. You know.
There's got to be a way to like, make it ethical, make it a lot
I don't
more.
think so.
I don't think so either.
Not in this
because
world.
people would have to agree, and nobody's ever gonna agree.
And people are too greedy.
Like,
Bro.
So,
they
yeah,
can't
it's-
just compromise. Like,
Someone always
Not
wants
when
to
money
be on
exists,
top,
bro,
Nobody
yeah.
wants to be on the same
well,
level
Yeah.
as anybody else.
at the end of it, I'm rooting for Africa, bro.
Now I have a
I'm rooting.
question, right? So you would think with all those resources, how come they're not as developed as other countries.
It's literally because they're keeping them there.
Yeah, I literally took a class. Like, we had a class that was more so about the Middle East, but we covered the Occident versus the Oriental, and like how America or all these countries and foreign powers like England, all these countries built systems in Africa where they obviously go ahead.
But I'm talking like actually, just keep going. I'll
Wait.
pen after.
Okay.
I'll remember.
Okay. Where was I?
You're saying how the countries built systems in
Yeah,
Africa.
built systems. So like they had systems where they dealt with the education, took away education, took away history of the country in the first place. It's pretty much like the Native American system in America, but just to less or greater degree, honestly.
Yeah, greater degree.
Yeah, punish people from speaking out. So keep these people in systems, and then it was only recently like African countries started getting independence. Like Nigeria is 1960.
Yeah.
Which is what, like, it's
recent,
very recent in the context of the world. But the infrastructures in Africa have like not developed at all since they've left the countries. So that's what they do. Like, once they have removed themselves from office, like, they just leave the country the way it is. So,
Exactly.
And then, I mean, there's also, did you want to?
Jump in.
Keep going.
There's also countries like Nigeria that their leaders
Are corrupt.
don't want.
But who puts these leaders in place, bro?
It's those colonial.
It was a colonial. They chose most of the leaders. Like in Syria, they have the leaders in place from England. I think Iran as well has a leader in place who's chosen by the England, and they choose people who they know they can like pay and control.
Right.
And benefit in trade deals and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But I was speaking more terms like before that, so before the rule, so back when everyone, I guess, kind of was on a more even playing field, like before they were really like colonized,
exploited, and
What do you think prevented them from using their resources?
They couldn't really access the resources. I feel like though.
They didn't have the tools or the technology to do it.
Because uranium is drilling.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with like the heat. And like, I don't know. I feel like heat had to be like a major factor because they were like still behind in terms of like
of course,
the industrial age and all that.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
The animals, you have to worry about
those environment.
Like even
environment. A lot of
did they even
environment.
I don't know.
You think
when did they even know the value of it? Like
They
because they
didn't.
were so behind.
If something just is in your ground, you're not gonna know what it is until somebody comes and tells you.
Even if they did know about it, like did they know?
Because
the
I
value
feel
of it?
like adapting to the cold compared to adapting, I think adapting to the cold is way more harsher than adapting to the heat. Personally, I think it is, and I think you needed so much stuff because like just to produce heat and keep heat trapped in the house. I feel like all that is what like really helped, like European countries develop as they did, because they needed to shelter themselves from the cold. Because the cold, I feel like, is way more harsher than the heat.
So I guess you would have to look at like in terms of like resources as like a tier.
Yeah.
And how I guess I would think about it is I guess Africa more has like the second tier resources, like your metals and kind of the resources that you need to be more advanced to gain access to, while Europe more had those like first tier resources, like your wood and your more useful materials at the time.
Exactly. And I feel like to get to the one, you need the other.
Yeah.
You just never had the other.
Right.
Okay.
But now that they've left the country, I think they are still trying to keep it down. Like, if Africa was able to have the same respect like America had or England had,
Right.
they would be able to develop their own stuff, trade their own, like, it's just not...
Exactly, but like especially with like capitalism and like these businesses, they're also aiding in like keeping them down so that they can exploit them even more.
Of course.
So there's just like no way for them to like genuinely move up, and this is why I feel like people should pay attention to this, because this is like the time that can like literally break that.
This is the like chance, right?
This is that chance. And I feel like if more people get their eyes on this and try to support, I feel like there's definitely a way for us to become, or at least Africa, to become.
But how? What can you do?
Support,
bro. I mean, it works.
Especially if Russia and China do what they're gonna do, and help them aid and support and actually be partners instead of like one ruling the other.
I think if you're really thinking about it, they're not really. They don't have Africa's best interest in mind. They have their own best interest in mind.
I agree with that.
And now if they team up with, Africa, and they're just going to get fast access to these resources at good rates, or whatever the same kind of rates that they're getting.
I think it's still like everyone kind of benefits from that situation though, because Africa kind of gets out of the situation they're in.
Yeah.
And
That's how I looked at it.
they're in a better position than they were before.
Right.
I looked at it as China was like, we can get you out. You just make sure you're trading with us when you're independent, and that's kind of that's their trade off.
And that's not a bad. If I was
That's
like
a great deal for
China. That's not a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal at all. We keep trading with you. We get us a
Then
fair
it comes
shake.
more. Then it kind of turns into a back to that same kind of fight, which is the U.S. and Europe against Russia and China. It turns into basically that, and Africa just turns into a middleman.
That is true.
That is very true.
That will have to come in at a later point, but I feel like it's more beneficial than when the situation that they're in now. I genuinely do believe that is. Because the amount of like coups and coup d'etats they had against France, because France was just keeping them down. Because France still had people in position of power down there. The coup that they did recently, was it 2018, I believe? They did the coup. It's pretty recent. Like his regime is pretty recent.
Yeah.
And he recently got rid of all like the French government and any like French power that was in position of power.
So the French occupation was over.
The French occupation is over.
Yeah.
They already merged with two other African countries, Mali and Niger, and so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're trying to make big moves.
Like
bro.
merged together as
No, not merged. I mean
crazy.
like they're like in a coalition.
Okay, and that's spreading because I was like searching up and like Nigerians are supportive of it.
Yeah, a lot of countries are trying to support
African
it.
countries.
really?
Yeah, that's what I was surprised with. Maybe not government,
Even
but
across from
it's
the
the
diaspora, there's
system.
people in the Caribbean knowing about this, supporting
it.
So I definitely do think it's something people should pay attention to, and I want to be a part of it. So, well, that was APT483. See you next time.
Peace.